So let's get into our first big player that we're going to kind of focus our discussion on. There was the rumor from under an hour ago, according to Ben Jacobs, that Youri Tielemans would be open to a move to Liverpool this summer. Brings in a whole host of things. He's got a year left on his contract. Very intriguing option in the middle of the park. Charlie, I'll go to you first on that one. I'm sure with all of these midfielders that we'll talk about today, it will be a case of he's a midfielder, he's a pulse, he's got a decent bit of technical skill, get him in. But when you're breaking down Tielemans, in an ideal world, is he an option for Liverpool for you?
Look, Jack, I'm interested in Margot Robbie. You know, that's nice for you, Tielemans. You know, you're interested in playing for one of the best clubs in the world. Nah, really. You know, look, is he an okay option? Probably. He's probably a bit better than Jordan Henderson. You know, but the fee that's being blasted around is you're looking at 35 million as a whole package. I think Leicester won around 16 to 20 million up front. And then a lot of add-ons. They obviously his contract runs out at the end of the season, and I think you could sign him on deadline day for probably 10 mil cheaper than what they're quoting at the moment. I think they're trying to get a bit more with the likes of Arsenal are very interested in him. You probably wouldn't put it past Man United to throw the hat in. You know, putting Liverpool's name in there is very, very easy for a journalist, considering the meltdown that's going on in the fan base. But look, would I say no to him? At the moment, I don't think I would. But when everybody is fit, you know, I don't really want him stopping the pathway for Harvey Elliott, you know, or Fabio Carvalho. So in an ideal world, no, I wouldn't want him. But I'm sort of in the boat. I just want anything at the moment because anything is better than Jordan Henderson and James Milner being our starting midfielders.
Dan, Tielemans to Liverpool, where do you kind of stand on the fee that could be paid and just him as a player?
I mean, I'm in the general consensus that we need just midfielders at the moment. We did a poll earlier today asking all the followers if the approach that Liverpool is taking regarding waiting until next summer till the right target arrives, which is obviously Jude Bellingham for 100 million, is the right one, or if they would rather just get two players in the 50 million valuation and just miss out on Jude Bellingham. And I mean, a lot of people agreed on, I believe more than 70% of the people actually voted that they want two midfielders that are less than 50 million worth than getting Jude Bellingham. I mean, we just got into that point where Jurgen Klopp, since he arrived, he's been using Jordan Henderson, James Milner consistently in the starting lineup, and it's understandable because they've worked out. I mean, we won the Champions League, we won the Premier League. Why would Jurgen even consider dropping them if it's still working? But there's a point where a team needs to start evolving, and Jurgen Klopp is not taking that approach. It's not accepting not getting the right target. And there's just times where that call for desperate measures, and this is one of them. If we miss out on Jude Bellingham, then so be it. And if Youri Tielemans is one of the two or even three options that we can bring in just to make sure we're bringing this team to a next level, to evolving, then I will totally be on the boat. We've seen his stats. We've seen what he can do. He's been a target before. So why not just go in for him and maybe a couple more players? So I agree. We should totally go in for him.
Tielemans entering his fifth season at Leicester. It's the last year of his contract. The fee, Charlie, you know, is that the big roadblock for Tielemans to Liverpool in your eyes, or is it the player's fit?
I don't know. Look, last season he was linked away with a move. I think he tried to push for a move away and it didn't happen, which means he's fallen out of favour with Brendan Rodgers and Leicester. Dan's just gone off for a little bit.
They just walked off.
But look, it's always hard, and I feel like Leicester, look, they're pushed. You know, they're very shrewd negotiators. Leicester City. You know, I think they got 50 million for Ben Chilwell. They got 80 million for Harry Maguire. They're probably going to get 85 million for Wesley Fofana. they know how to get money out of clubs. I just think they're trying too hard to negotiate for Tielemans. I think he's at the point now where they just need to let him leave because he's clearly not happy at the club. But, going on to your main question, I don't see Liverpool paying 20 million for even 20 million. It's going to be 35 million in add-ons. Them add-ons are probably going to be pretty achievable as well. It'll probably be appearance fees, maybe getting back into the Belgium national team. There'll be ones that Leicester are going to try and get as much money as possible. So I just don't see Liverpool paying that much. If it gets down to the end of the window, the midfielders we've got, none of them are coming back until after the transfer window anyway. I know they've talked. Curtis Jones has talked about coming back at the end of the month. There's been conflicting reports that he's not going to be back until mid-September as well. You've got Naby Keita, not even put a timescale on his injury. So that's going to be at least 2 months in my books for Naby Keita. Thiago Alcantara, they're saying, again, mid-September, not a chance. Probably beginning of November. Jurgen Klopp's lied before about midfield injuries. So I'd be very, very surprised. And look, wouldn't surprise me if Jordan Henderson picks up an injury in the next couple of weeks. Because he as well can pick up an injury and just be out. I know we're relying on James Milner. Look, I love James Milner. He's a great rotation option. So if it gets down to the final day of the window and Leicester are like, all right, look, we'll 15 million up front and we'll get rid of him. Yeah, 100%. It's just not a Liverpool deal, though, unfortunately, in my eyes, or fortunately or unfortunately, however you see it.
Dan, I'm going to go to you with this one. Charlie mentioned the midfielders that are out for so long for us right now. How big a deal is it that he's a Prem guy in the Prem? So he's not got to change countries. He can just come in. As big a system change as it always is moving clubs, it's got to be a decent transition. If he was to come in, he could be a starter. I mean, he signed tomorrow. He might start on the weekend.
I mean, I agree. I mean, that's a huge factor that we all know that does take into account. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of players that simply just move to the Premier League and suddenly start working. They do wonders and whatnot, but we've seen in other cases that that's not the case. I mean, Luis Diaz, despite being amazing, you've seen how adjusted he became after 4 or 5 months under Klopp. Darwin Núñez, he seems like he's not settled in completely from his form in Portugal. You got, the cases of Andrew Robertson, who also suddenly disappeared for what was like 6 months until he was fully adjusted to the Premier League and then finally came in and made his mark. I mean, there's just so many cases of this happening. But the fact that we have someone from the Premier League from a side where he's actually playing a more defensive approach, a more defensive role, where he's faced the top teams in the Premier League, it's just perfect because you know that you're going to bring him in, and regardless if he's adjusted to the team or not, you know that he's going to be giving you at least a half a decent performance. Maybe he's not going to be scoring goals, maybe he's not going to get assists, but he will be helping you on the distribution front, on the defensive front, because that's what he's doing now and that's what he's always done. So it's definitely a plus. It's not the player that I would like to I would like us to go for. But if we do bring someone, I would totally agree that it has to be someone from the Premier League. Maybe not necessarily Youri Tielemans, but someone of the same liking.